The new student town of Riverbend was small and quiet. Nothing much ever happened there. People knew each other, and life went on in the same rhythm every day. But one Monday morning, something unusual happened at Riverbend High School. A new student walked into class. Her name, according to the teacher, was Lena. She had long dark hair, pale skin, and sharp golden eyes that seemed to catch the light. She wore a simple jacket, even though the weather was warm. Students whispered and stared at her, curious but also uneasy. Everyone, "This is Lena. She just transferred here," the teacher said. "Please make her feel welcome." Lena smiled politely and took a seat near the back. She kept her head low, avoiding the curious stares. But one boy noticed more than anyone else. His name was Ethan. He sat 2 rows away and had a habit of noticing small details. From the very first moment, something about Lena felt strange. At first, it was little things. When the class laughed at a joke, Lena laughed too. But a second, too late, when students talked about popular shows or games, she stayed quiet, only nodding as if she didn't understand. At lunch, she picked at her food carefully, like she was unsure how to eat it. But the strangest thing was her jacket. She never took it off, not even in the hot sun. Ethan wondered why. That afternoon, as students left the school, Ethan walked behind her. Her steps were quick and light, almost too smooth. When she turned a corner, he saw her jacket moved oddly, as if something under it swayed back and forth, almost like a tail. Ethan froze. He blinked, shook his head, and told himself he was imagining things. But the thought stuck in his mind. The next day, the whispers grew louder. "Where is she from? She talks funny. Why doesn't she join in?" Some kids laughed at Lena when she didn't understand a joke. Others called her weird. But Ethan stayed quiet, just watching. In science class, when the teacher asked about planets, Lena raised her hand. Her answer was strange. She named moons and stars nobody had ever heard of. The class laughed, and her face turned red. She quickly stopped speaking, but Ethan leaned forward, staring. How does she know that? He thought. Later at lunch, Ethan tried to sit near her. "Hey," he said. "I'm Ethan. You're Lena, right?" She looked up, her golden eyes sharp and nervous. "Yes," she said softly. Her voice was careful, like every word had to be chosen. "Where are you from?" Ethan asked casually. She hesitated. "Too long." Then she said, "Far away. Very far." Ethan chuckled. "Like another state?" Her lips twitched in a small smile, but she didn't answer. Something in that silence told Ethan she wasn't joking. That evening, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about her. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Most kids would ignore a new student, but Ethan felt a pull. Something about Lena didn't fit in this world. The next morning, he decided to watch more carefully. In gym class, when students ran laps, Lena stayed at the back at first. But then, without noticing, she began to run faster. Her speed increased until she passed everyone. Her steps so light, it looked like she was gliding. The coach blew the whistle. "Slow down. Save your energy." Lena slowed quickly, face pale, with worry. She had revealed too much. Ethan caught the look of fear in her eyes. He was sure now. She wasn't normal. That afternoon, after school, Ethan followed her again. She walked quickly, checking behind her as if afraid someone would notice. She slipped through a narrow alley. Ethan hurried after her, hiding behind a wall. What he saw made his heart race. Lena jumped easily over a tall fence much higher than any human could manage. Her coat lifted with the movement, and for a second, Ethan saw it clearly. A long, thin, golden brown tail swayed behind her before she pulled her jacket down to hide it. Ethan gasped, his hand covering his mouth. His heart pounded. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't his imagination. She had a tail. That night, Ethan sat in his room, staring out the window. His world felt different now. He thought about Lena's sharp eyes, her strange answers, her speed, and now the tail. She's not human. But if she wasn't human, then what was she doing here? Why was she pretending? And why was she so afraid of being discovered? Ethan didn't have answers, but he knew one thing. He couldn't stay away. He had seen something no one else noticed. And now he was caught in her secret. Strange habits. The next morning, Ethan sat at his desk in class, trying to focus, but his mind was on Lena. He couldn't forget what he had seen yesterday, the tail swinging behind her coat. No matter how many times he told himself it was impossible, the image stayed sharp in his head. Lena entered the classroom quietly, as she always did. She avoided people's eyes, walked with quick steps, and sat in the far corner. But Ethan noticed every detail. She wore the same jacket again. Always the jacket. Even though the sun was shining and other students were in short sleeves, she never took it off. She kept her arms close, almost like she was protecting something. When the teacher began the lesson, Ethan caught her whispering to herself. It wasn't English. It sounded like another language, quick and soft, with sharp tones. He leaned closer, trying to hear, but she stopped when she noticed his eyes on her. For a second, her golden eyes flashed sharp, almost animal-like. Ethan quickly looked down, pretending to write. At lunch, Ethan saw something even stranger. Lena sat at a table, alone, picking at the food on her tray. She looked confused, sniffing the bread before taking a bite. Then, when no one was watching, she slipped something small and silver from her pocket. It looked like a thin stick with a glowing tip. She touched it lightly to the food, and the glow spread across the surface. The food shimmered faintly, then she ate it, finally looking relaxed. Ethan blinked hard. What was that? Some kind of device? No one else saw it. Only him. Later, in the library, Ethan tried to find out more. He searched online for animals with golden eyes and people with tails, but nothing useful came up. He leaned back, frustrated. Then someone sat across from him. It was Lena. She stared at him, her eyes calm but serious. "Why do you watch me?" she asked. Ethan froze. His heart jumped. He didn't expect her to confront him. "I am not watching you," he lied quickly. "Yes, you are," Lena said softly. "Always." Her voice wasn't angry. It was almost sad. Ethan swallowed. His curiosity was too strong. "Because you're different." Her eyes narrowed. "Different how?" Ethan hesitated, then whispered, "I saw your tail." For a long second, Lena said nothing. She only looked at him, her face pale. Then she leaned forward, her voice barely a whisper. "You cannot tell anyone." Ethan's breath caught. His mind raced. "Why? What are you?" Her golden eyes darted around, checking the library. No one was close enough to hear. She leaned even closer. "I am not from here," she whispered. "Not from this world." Ethan's mouth went dry. His guess was right. She wasn't human. "Why are you here?" he asked. Lena's voice shook slightly. "Because my people are in danger. I had to hide. If they find me, She stopped, her hands clenching tight. "I won't survive." Ethan stared at her, an alien, sitting across from him in the school library. Not with ships, not with lasers, just a girl, alone and afraid. He felt a chill, but also something else, a strange pull of responsibility. "Don't worry," Ethan said carefully. "I won't tell anyone." Lena studied him for a long time, as if trying to decide if he was trustworthy. Finally, she nodded. "Thank you." But as she stood up, Ethan noticed something again. Her jacket shifted slightly, and the shape of her tail was clear for a second before she pulled it tight. If she wasn't careful, others would notice too. That afternoon, something almost went wrong in gym class. While climbing ropes, Lena's jacket caught on a hook. As she pulled, the jacket lifted, and the students below gasped. "Wait, what was that?" One boy shouted, "Did you see something move?" Lena's face turned pale. She quickly jumped down, pulling her jacket tight. "Nothing," she said quickly. "Just a shadow." The kids laughed and teased her, but Ethan knew it wasn't a shadow. He saw the panic in her eyes. If she slipped up again, her secret would be out. After school, Ethan caught up with her. "You need to be careful," he warned. Her eyes flashed. "You don't understand. I cannot control it all the time. My body, it's not the same as yours." Ethan frowned. "Then why pretend? I try to live like us." Her expression softened, almost breaking. "Because I have no choice." She looked away, her voice trembling. "They destroyed my home. My people are scattered. If I don't hide, here I have nowhere else to go." Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to ask who they were, but the fear in her eyes stopped him. She wasn't ready to explain. That night, Ethan sat on his bed, staring at the ceiling. He had a secret now, one bigger than anything he had ever imagined. Lena wasn't just a strange new student. She was something far more. And if what she said was true, if someone was hunting her, then the danger wasn't just hers. It might come for him too. The slip of the tail the next day at school, Ethan tried to act normal. He sat in class, took notes, and pretended that nothing was different. But inside, his thoughts were heavy. He couldn't forget Lena's words. "Not from this world." He looked across the room. Lena sat quietly in her usual corner, jacket zipped up, hands folded on her desk. To anyone else, she looked shy, maybe strange. But Ethan knew the truth, and truth was dangerous. At lunch, Ethan saw Lena again. She was sitting alone as usual, nibbling at her food, scanning the room with sharp eyes. Her golden gaze always moved, never still, like she was measuring threats. Today, something changed. A group of older students walked over. They were known for trouble, loud, arrogant, always picking on others. One of them, a tall boy named Mason, leaned on Lena's table. "Well, well," Mason said with a smirk. "The quiet girl. Why don't you ever talk to anyone?" "Too good." "For us?" Lena didn't answer. She kept her head down. Mason chuckled. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue. Or maybe." He reached for her jacket. "You hiding something under here?" Ethan froze. His heart jumped. "No, don't touch her jacket." Lena reacted fast. She grabbed Mason's wrist with surprising strength, her golden eyes flashing. "Don't," she said firmly. The boys laughed, surprised by her sudden grip. "Oh, tough girl, huh? What are you hiding?" Mason tugged hard, pulling at her jacket. And then it happened. The jacket slipped. For a second, too quick for most eyes, but Ethan saw it clearly. The tail, furry, silver with faint streaks of black, swished free from the jacket. It curled instinctively, then snapped back under the fabric as Lena yanked her coat down in panic. Mason blinked, confused. What was that?" His friends laughed nervously. "Dude, it looked like a tail." The cafeteria erupted in whispers. "Did you see that? She's got something back there." Lena's face turned white. She pushed past them, tray clattering to the floor, and ran out of the room. Ethan chased after her. He found her behind the school, sitting on the ground with her jacket pulled tight, shaking. "Go away," she whispered, her voice breaking. Ethan stepped closer. "Lena, listen, it wasn't that bad." Maybe they didn't really see. Her golden eyes glared at him, shining with tears. "You don't understand. One mistake and everything falls apart. Ethan crouched beside her. Then explain. Help me understand. She looked away, silent for a long time. Finally, her voice came out soft, almost trembling. My people are called the Vera, she said. We lived far from here, in peace, but another race found us. They wanted our energy, our land. We fought, but we lost. They burned our cities. They took our children. The survivors scattered, hiding wherever we could. Ethan's chest tightened. And you came here? Yes, Lena whispered. Earth is safe, or it was. But if they discover me, if they know a Vera lives here, they will come. They always come. Her words chilled him. He suddenly understood the weight she carried. She wasn't just hiding a tale. She was hiding her whole existence. That evening, Ethan walked home deep in thought. The image of her tale replayed in his mind, but so did her tears. He had seen fear before, but not like this, not the fear of someone running from extinction. He wanted to protect her. But how could one human boy do that? The next day, rumors spread. Mason and his friends were bragging. She's a freak. They said, she's hiding something. Maybe she's not even human. Some students laughed, others whispered, but the seed was planted. Suspicion grew. Lena avoided everyone, her hood up, her jacket tighter than ever. Her golden eyes darted with constant worry. Ethan could see the wall around her getting higher. After school, Ethan caught up with her again. You can't run forever, he said gently. Her voice was hard. I must. That is how my people survive. We run. We hide. We hope. Ethan shook his head. That's not how humans survive. We fight. Lena looked at him, startled. You don't have to do this alone, Ethan said firmly. I saw what happened. I know your secret. And I don't care if you're Vera or human. I'm with you. For a moment, Lena stared at him, as if she didn't believe what she heard. Then, slowly, her eyes softened. You would stand with me? Even if they come? Yes, Ethan said without hesitation. Even then. But as they spoke, far above Earth's sky, something stirred. A signal pulsed in the void. A faint beacon, faint but sharp. Someone or something had picked up a trace, and they were coming. The hunters arrived that night. Ethan couldn't sleep. He lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying Lena's words over and over. If they know a Vera lives here, they will come. They always come. The words chilled him. And as if the universe had heard her warning, far beyond Earth's atmosphere, something dark was already moving. High above the planet, hidden in the void, a small alien ship drifted silently. Its hull was jagged, covered in strange black plates that seemed to drink the light around it. Inside, figures moved with precision. Their bodies were tall, skeletal, and their skin shimmered like oil. Their glowing red eyes never blinked. They were called the Krith, and they were hunters. One of them stood before a console, claws tapping at alien controls. A sharp beep filled the room. Signal found, the Krith growled in a voice like grinding. Stone, Vera life form. Coordinates, Earth. The leader of the hunters bared his teeth in a cruel smile. At last, one survived. We will erase the last of them. The ship adjusted course, slipping toward the blue planet below. The next morning, Ethan walked to school as usual, but the air felt heavy. Dark clouds rolled across the sky, and a faint hum, too soft for most ears, vibrated in the distance. When he reached the school gates, he spotted Lena instantly. She stood with her hood up, her golden eyes sharp and restless. You feel it too? She whispered as Ethan walked beside her. Feel what? He asked. The Krith, Lena said. Her voice shook. They are here. Ethan froze. Already? But how? They track us. Always. I knew the slip at school was dangerous, but I didn't think they'd come so soon. Her tail twitched under her jacket, betraying her fear. Ethan clenched his fists. So what happens now? They will search, quietly at first. They will hunt me. And if I'm found, they won't stop with me. She swallowed hard. They will burn everything. At that same moment, the Krith ship hovered above Earth's clouds, invisible to human eyes. A small scout craft detached and descended, landing in a remote forest. Outside town, 3 Krith hunters emerged, their claws clicking, their red eyes glowing. They carried strange weapons that hummed with dark energy. One of them lifted a device that scanned the air. "The Vera is near," it hissed. "We will find her." Back at school, the day passed in uneasy silence. Lena stayed quiet, Ethan stayed close. Whispers about her tale still spread, but no one dared approach her again. By the afternoon, Ethan noticed something strange outside the classroom window. Birds scattered from the trees. A faint ripple, like heat, shimmered. In the air near the woods, Lena's golden eyes narrowed. "They're here," she whispered. Ethan's heart pounded. "What do we do?" "We run," Lena said. "If they find me here, everyone will die." Ethan hesitated, then shook his head. "No, we don't just run. Not this time." When school ended, Ethan walked with Lena toward the edge of town. She led him into the forest, moving quickly, her ears twitching under her hood, tail swishing with tension. But they weren't alone. A Krith hunter stepped out from behind the trees, its red eyes glowing in the shadows. Another appeared behind. Lena froze. Her breath caught. Too late. The Krith leader hissed, raising its weapon. "Vera, you cannot hide. Your species is ash. You are the last. Surrender, and this world will suffer less." Ethan stepped forward without thinking. "No." The alien tilted its head. "A human defends you?" It let out a low, cold laugh. "Foolish. You are nothing." Ethan's voice was steady, though. His heart thundered. "Maybe, but humans don't stand aside while someone innocent is hunted. Not on this world." The Krith hissed in annoyance, shifting its weapon toward Ethan Dot, and then Lena moved Dot in one swift motion. She dropped her jacket. Her silver tail lashed out, her claws extended, and her golden eyes blazed with fury. "If you want me," she growled, "you'll have to go through both of us." The standoff burned in silence for a moment. The Krith raised their weapons. Lena crouched, ready to fight. Ethan clenched his fists, wishing for anything, any weapon, any chance. But then a strange sound echoed through the forest. "A whistle." Ethan turned and saw them, figures moving between the trees. Men and women in uniform. Soldiers. Veterans. Humans with hard eyes and steady rifles. They stepped into the clearing, weapons aimed at the Krith. The Krith froze, red eyes flickering. One of the human veterans spoke in a low, commanding voice. "You picked the wrong planet." For the first time, Lena saw something shift in the Krith's expression. Not fear not yet, but surprise, because the hunters had mocked humans before. They thought Earth weak, blind, unprepared. But now, they were about to learn otherwise. The fight in the forest was silent for a moment, broken only by the rustle of leaves in the wind. The Krith hunters stood tall, their glowing red eyes fixed on the humans who had stepped into the clearing. The soldiers moved like shadows, rifles steady, their faces calm but hard. These were not young recruits. These were veterans, men and women who had seen war, who had carried scars that never healed. Ethan glanced at Lena, who crouched at his side, her silver tail swishing with tension. He whispered, "They're with us." Lena's golden eyes darted to the soldiers. She felt their strength. Unlike most humans she had met, these ones radiated something she recognized: battle spirit. The Krith leader raised its weapon and hissed, Stay out of this, humans. This is between us and the Vera. Leave, and you may live. The human veteran in front, a broad man with gray in his beard and calm steel in his eyes, shook his head slowly. You came to the wrong planet. Then he raised his rifle, and fire exploded. The first shot tore through the forest, a bright streak of energy slamming into the Krith hunter on the right. It shrieked as its armor cracked, stumbling back. In an instant, the clearing lit with chaos. The Krith returned fire, their dark weapons hissing with bolts of red energy. Trees splintered, bark exploded, dirt kicked up all around. The human veterans spread out, moving with precision, firing in bursts that pinned the Krith down. Ethan ducked behind a fallen log, heart racing. He had never seen anything like this. It wasn't just a fight, it was a war zone in the middle of the forest. Lena leaped forward, moving faster than Ethan's eyes could follow. Her claws glowed faintly, her tail slicing through the air as she launched herself at one of the Krith. She slashed across its chest, sparks flying as her claws tore through alien armor. The hunter roared in fury, swinging its weapon wildly, but Lena twisted aside with fluid grace. "You want the last Vera?" she shouted. "Come and earn it." The Krith leader snarled and charged at her, weapon raised. But before it could strike, 3 human veterans fired at once. Bolts of energy struck its side, forcing it to stagger back. The bearded veteran barked an order. "Hold formation. Don't give them room." The soldiers obeyed like one mind. They shifted positions, their fire cutting off every angle. The Krith were fast, deadly, and cruel, but they weren't ready for this. They weren't ready for humans who had already fought impossible wars. One Krith fell, its chest burning with rifle fire. Another stumbled, Lena's claws sinking into its throat. As she spun past it, Ethan stared, unable to move. He had always thought humans were ordinary compared to the stories of aliens and their advanced worlds. But what he saw now, it was different. The veterans didn't fight with advanced tech or glowing powers. They fought with grit, training, and something the Krith couldn't understand: unity. The Krith leader howled in rage, blasting the ground with a surge of red energy that sent dirt and fire flying. 2 soldiers dove aside, rolling behind cover. The leader's voice thundered. "You think you can resist us? You are only humans. Weak, fragile, nothing." The gray-bearded veteran stepped forward through the smoke, rifle steady. His voice was calm, deadly quiet. "We've heard that before." Then he fired. The bolt struck the Krith leader in the shoulder, tearing a hole in its armor. It screamed in pain, stumbling back. Lena saw her chance. With a roar, she launched forward, claws flashing. She struck the Krith leader across the face, leaving glowing scars that burned deep. The leader staggered, its red eyes flickering with fury. For the first time, Ethan thought he saw something else too. Not arrogance, not cruelty, fear, not the remaining. Krith retreated into the trees, dragging their wounded leader with them. They hissed in their strange language, their red eyes glowing faintly before vanishing into the forest. Shadows. Silence returned. Only the smell of smoke and the faint hum of weapons remained. Ethan stood slowly, still shaking. They ran. Lena's chest heaved as she caught her breath, her claws still glowing faintly. She turned to the humans, her eyes wide with disbelief. "You fought them. You didn't run. Do you know what that means?" The bearded veteran lowered his rifle, wiping soot from his face. He looked at Lena, then at Ethan. "It means they've made a mistake. They think we're prey." His eyes narrowed. "Now we show them what happens when you hunt humans." Ethan felt his chest tighten. This wasn't over. The Krith would come back. They always came back. But now he understood something. Humanity wasn't helpless, and with Lena at their side, Maybe, just maybe, they could win. That night, in the darkness of space, the Krith leader sat in the control chamber of their ship, clutching its wounded arm. Its red eyes burned with fury. Humans, it hissed. We will burn their world. We will make them beg for mercy. But deep inside, a new thought whispered, a thought the Krith had never considered before. What if these humans are not like the others we crushed? What if they are worse? The breaking point, the desert wind, carried the stench of fire and ash. The once quiet land was now torn apart by the screams of battle. Villages burned in the distance, and the cries of the innocent mixed with the roar of alien machines inside the human base. Alarm screamed. The Krith were not just hunting Lina anymore. They were hunting everyone. Ethan stood near the command table, sweat running down his face as red markers lit up the map. Each marker was a Krith dropship landing on Earth's soil. The old veteran, Captain Ward, slammed his fist against the table. They're coming everywhere at once. They're spreading us thin. They want to break our spirit before the fight even starts. Lina stood nearby, her golden eyes blazing, her tail twitching with rage. That is their way. They slaughter until the survivors cannot even dream of hope. Ethan clenched his fists. He remembered the terrified villagers, the girl who had clung to Lina's hand, whispering for help. He remembered the executions, the screams, the smell of smoke. His heart pounded with fury. They won't break us, Ethan said firmly. Not this time. The veterans prepared for war. Hidden bunkers were opened, weapons dusted off after years of silence. Old railguns were dragged out of storage, their steel barrels creaking but still ready to roar. Soldiers who had once retired now returned, armor strapped to their scarred bodies. Captain Ward addressed them with a voice that cut through the noise. Listen well. The Krith think we are weak. They think we are prey. But they've made a mistake. They've attacked Earth, our home. This time, they don't face broken soldiers. They face humanity. A roar of voices filled the bunker. The battle began at dawn. The Krith poured out of their ships, tall and armored, their red eyes glowing as they marched. They carried weapons forged to enslave entire species. Behind them, their machines rumbled towering, walkers that spat fire across the sand. But the humans did not run. From the ridges, hidden artillery unleashed its fury. Explosions tore through Krith ranks. Railguns screamed as slugs ripped holes through armored machines. And from the skies, old human jets dove, their wings rattling, their pilots gritting their teeth as they fired everything they had. The desert became a storm of fire. In the chaos, Ethan fought alongside Lina. He wasn't a soldier, but he carried a rifle, and he fired with determination. Each shot was clumsy, but each one came with a fury that even the Krith could feel. Beside him, Lina moved like lightning. Her claws glowed, tearing through alien armor. Her tail whipped, her movements fierce and deadly. She wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for the humans who had sheltered her. At one moment, Ethan nearly fell as a Krith soldier charged him. The alien raised its blade, but Lina leapt between them, her claws sinking into its throat. The creature collapsed at Ethan's feet. Stay close, Lina growled, her golden eyes sharp. Ethan nodded, his heart pounding. I'm not letting you face this alone. Hours passed, but the battle only grew more desperate. The Krith pushed harder, wave after wave. Their machines crushed through defenses, their fire burning human outposts. Inside the bunker, Captain Ward watched the monitors, his face grim. They're bleeding us dry, he muttered. Every victory costs us lives, too many. The younger soldiers looked shaken, but Ward stood tall, his voice steady. Hold the line. Humanity's line does not break. But in his heart, he knew the truth. The Krith had not yet unleashed their full strength. At sunset, the Krith leader finally appeared. Its warship descended into the desert, massive and dark, casting a shadow that swallowed the battlefield. Its crimson eyes glowed from the screen as it broadcast across the human network. "Humans," the voice hissed, "you dare resist us? You dare protect the last Vera? You are insects. You will be burned, your world turned to ash. And when you scream, no one will answer." The Krith laughed, a sound like grinding metal dot in the bunker. Silence fell. The soldiers watched. Some clenched their fists, others lowered their heads. But Ethan stood forward, his voice steady. "You're wrong." The Krith leader tilted its head, curious. Ethan's voice grew stronger. "We may not have the ships you have. We may not have the weapons you have. But we have something you'll never understand." "And what is that?" The Krith sneered. Ethan glared at the screen. "We don't know how to give up." The words spread across the comms. Soldiers on the battlefield heard them. Pilots in burning jets heard them. Families hiding in shelters heard them. And in that moment, something changed. Humans fought harder. The veterans rallied. Lena howled, her voice echoing across the desert, a sound of rage and hope. Even Captain Ward, grim as he was, allowed a faint smile, spoken like a true soldier. He muttered. But as night fell, the battlefield burned brighter. The Krith unleashed their full fleet. Thousands of ships descended, blotting out the stars. The earth shook as the ground itself split from the force of their landing. The humans had fought bravely. They had bled the Krith. But now came the breaking point. Would humanity survive the storm, or would this be the night Earth fell? Extinction or survival? The Krith warship loomed above Earth's skies like a shadow of death. Its crimson lights glowed across the clouds, and its engines shook the air as if the heavens themselves trembled. Down below, cities waited in silence. Families hid in shelters. Soldiers stood ready. For the first time, humanity faced the choice of extinction or survival. Ethan stood with Lena and the veterans inside the command bunker. The screens lit up with the image of the Krith leader, its red eyes filled with hatred. Its face still bore the deep scars from Lena's claws. "Humans," the Krith hissed, "you have made a grave mistake. You defend the last Vera, the one we were born to destroy. Because of her, your entire species will pay." Lena growled softly, her tail bristling. Ethan clenched his fists, but the gray-bearded veteran, Captain Ward, only stepped closer to the screen. His voice was calm, steady, but cold as iron. "You came here to hunt children, to burn villages, to boil innocents for power. You thought we would bow. You were wrong." He leaned forward. "You wanted war? Then you'll see what humans do when we have nothing left to lose." The battle began. The Krith unleashed a storm of fire from the skies, their beams tearing through the upper atmosphere. But humanity was ready. From hidden silos, from deep oceans, and from secret bases built in the shadows of mountains, Earth's weapons fired back. Missiles streaked through the sky. Rail cannons roared. Satellites unleashed concentrated blasts of energy. For the first time, the Krith met resistance they hadn't expected. "Target their command ship." Captain Ward ordered. Lena watched in awe as human warships, old but fierce, launched from hidden hangars. They weren't sleek like Krith ships. They were rough, armored, patched with scars of past battles. But they flew with purpose. They flew with fury. "Your people?" Lena whispered, her golden eyes wide. "They fight like Vera once did." Ethan smiled faintly, even as alarms shook the bunker. "No, they fight like humans." In the orbit above, the Krith leader growled in disbelief as human weapons pierced through the ship's defenses. Sparks exploded. Whole sections of its fleet burned. "These creatures," the leader spat, gripping its chair. How do they endure? They have no advanced shields, no empire, no unity, yet they fight as though death itself fears them. Younger Krith officer trembled. Leader, perhaps we should retreat. The leader struck him aside. Retreat? From humans? But even as it spoke, another human strike tore through their warship. The ship groaned, fires blazing across its hull. On the ground, chaos erupted as smaller Krith forces landed, trying to burn villages and capture civilians. Lena rushed forward, claws glowing as she cut through their ranks. Veterans fired beside her, moving as one. Ethan, though untrained, picked up a rifle and fought at Lena's side. He wasn't a soldier, but tonight every human became one. The battle stretched through hours. Blood, fire, and smoke filled the skies. Finally, in orbit, the Krith leader stood wounded in its burning bridge. The ship was collapsing, alarmed screaming. It looked through the shattered glass at Earth. Below Dot, it remembered the arrogance it once held, the laughter when it mocked humans, the belief they were weak. Now it saw only fire rising from Earth, and the terrible truth: humans were not prey. Humans were the hunters. Dot back in the bunker, the crew watched as the Krith flagship fell from the sky, breaking apart in flames. A cheer erupted across Earth. For the first time, the galaxy's predators had been defeated by humanity. Lena sank to her knees, her chest heaving. Her golden eyes shimmered with tears. You did it. You saved not just me, but yourselves. The Krith will never forget this day. Ethan knelt beside her, resting a hand on her shoulder. And neither will we. You're not alone anymore. Humanity stands with you. Captain Ward looked at the screens, his face grim. The Krith will come again. They will bring more ships, more armies. But they'll remember this battle. They'll remember the day humans stood and fought. His voice hardened. And the day we proved we will never bow. That night, across Earth, fires burned, but hope burned brighter. Humanity had bled, but humanity had won. Dot in the quiet, Lena gazed at the stars. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like the last of her kind. She felt something stronger. Dot, a family, a world that would fight for her. And as Ethan stood beside her, she whispered softly, "The galaxy doesn't know it yet, but the age of humans has just begun."